Alright, what's up everybody? I just came off my half marathon PR of 1:23 flat on Saturday at the beautiful Lake Norman State Park here in North Carolina, and I wanted to take you all through all the shoes I used throughout my training block, which included 3 80-mile weeks, a bunch of workouts, a bunch of long runs of 16 miles, 18 miles, almost went up to 20, but I decided not to push it one day. But consistent 60-mile long runs, lots of treadmill work as I was traveling for business school and for work, and then some track days with my good buddy Cam. So let's get into it. Alright, first up we have my daily trainer for this block, which was the Saucony Endorphin Shift 3. I have a full review that I will link to here. These are one of my favorite running shoes that I have in my rotation. They're super supportive, stable due to this plastic heel clip around the back, and because they have this thick bed of power run cushioning, it just feels really nice under my stride. I'm 6'2", about 165, so having something that's more supportive for my daily miles is really great. I would say these got probably about 150 more miles during this training block. I first got them during my Charlotte Marathon build last fall, and I used them only once or twice during that, but they helped me a lot as I recovered from that and got back into training again. And now I'll probably ease out of them as they're close to 300 miles, but we'll keep them around for those days where I really want some extra support. I also rotated the On Cloudmonster with the Saucony Endorphin Shift 3 for my daily training. I would do a lot of double days, so in the morning I would be doing 6-mile runs, and then in the afternoon 4-mile runs, or 8-mile runs in the morning and 4 to 6 mile runs in the afternoon. So when I would use the Endorphin Shift in the morning, I would put these on in the afternoon. These are solid. They have a unique mix of cushioning and pop due to the Helion foam in these and the speed board. You can see as I try to bend them, they're pretty responsive. They snap right back. That's the speed board. And then these foam pods in here compress pretty nicely to get a pretty relaxed and floaty ride as you're going along. They're not the softest in the world, but they feel good on those easy kind of daily training recovery miles. The third shoe that I'll rotate with the Cloudmonster and the Endorphin Shift 3 for my daily efforts is the Saucony Endorphin Speed 3. Now, these guys are positioned by Saucony as more of an up-tempo workout shoe, but for me, I like something a bit firmer and snappier for that, which I'll show you in a second. So these I used for my daily efforts when I wanted something a bit more fun or exciting, or where I knew I was going to pick up the pace here and there, do some strides. And I also feel like these keep my legs fresher in lower efforts, even when I'm going at my daily pace, which is anywhere from 7:15 to around 7:50. And if I wanted to run down to 7 flats or 7:05, I could do that in these and I wouldn't be pushing my heart rate up past the aerobic threshold zone because these make it a bit easier to run. So this foam here is a super foam. It's the first shoe I've brought out that does have a super foam. It's PIBA, beaded PIBA. You can see some of those beads in there. I'll make sure to throw in some B-roll so we can get that texture. And then it also has a nylon plate, which to me doesn't add a bunch of pop, but it's mostly for stability. It has these little wings on the side that kind of lock your midfoot in place. And then it also has this rocker, which it's a pretty pronounced rocker, which I notice a lot. It helps me roll along with my strides. All right, before we get into my workout shoes, I'm gonna throw a little bit of a curveball here, which is the Norda 001. Now, I like to do the roads and the trails, and right before I really started doing a lot of specialized training during this block for my half marathon, I did a whole weekend of trail races at the Whitewater Center here in Charlotte. And so that ended up being about 42 miles of races on the trails. Really fun, met a lot of great guys, and I placed second in the trail half marathon there. And for the whole weekend, I used these Nordas. They have about 100 miles on them now. They're super comfortable, stable. They have a nice wide platform, and with the Vibram outsole, I was not slipping and sliding at all. So great choice, highly recommend. And these are my go-to trail shoes. Everything from regular daily miles out there, which I don't run on the trails every day, but when I'm going to do a trail run, I will use these. to hiking with the family in the mountains, to racing on the trails out in the Whitewater Center or anywhere else. This is where it starts to get fun. My go-to workout shoe throughout this training block was the Adidas Takumi Sen 8. Now, I got a really good deal on these toward the end of last year. As I was winding down my Charlotte Marathon build, I wanted to pick up a new shoe to have it waiting for me when I was finished with the marathon and be excited to dive into a new training block. So I snagged these for under $100. This was before the Takumi Sen 9 even came out. And I think you can still find the 8 for around that price, $90, $95 if it's available on any sites. And I love these because unlike the other super shoes and shoes with PIBA and super foam that I have in my rotation, these feel super stripped down. The stack isn't crazy, and it has these carbon fiber energy rods instead of a traditional plate. And then it also has this Adidas Continental rubber foam, which provides a nice tacky traction and a snappy toe off. One thing to note here is that the upper is extremely snug. When you put your foot in here, it feels like a rocket ready to launch off into outer space, which does mean that you're gonna have to lace these a few times to really get it right. And they also send these to you from the factory with the lacing backwards. It's kind of weird. Instead of going up through the holes, they put the laces down through the holes, so I had to rework them to be able to lace them properly. But after I got the lacing figured out, these were beautiful. Every time I'm running in these, doing intervals around 6 flat pace or below, it just feels like how running should feel. It makes me want to land on my forefoot. It makes me want to just pick up my cadence and pop off. It's just a beautiful running experience. But throughout this training block, I did a lot of long runs at pace. So I would do 16-mile runs where the first 4 miles were a warm-up for me around 7:30 to 8 minute per mile pace. And then as I got into the run, I would drop that to 7 flat, which is my steady aerobic threshold, and then faster than that. So down into marathon pace, 6:40, 6:50, and even into my half marathon pace, which is 6:20, and then finishing the final few miles just all out, which is around 6 flat when you're going from miles 15 to miles 16. And the best shoe for the task for me for that was the Saucony Endorphin Pro 3. And I call these the Kilocams because they rock in the pink. These are super cushioned and comfortable, which you can't say that for all super shoes, but they just feel nice. They feel pretty planted. They have a wide base on the back, and the foam, the same foam that's in the Saucony Endorphin Speed 3 is bouncy. These are fairly stiff, a lot stiffer than the Saucony Endorphin Speed 3, which makes it easier to pick up the pace, but because the foam is so forgiving, it makes it nice to run your slower miles too. So as I'm doing my warm-ups or cool downs in these on those long runs, it doesn't feel weird to run at that slower pace. And my legs are super fresh the next day. These are actually what I ran the Charlotte Marathon in as well, but I did not run my recent half marathon in these. And we will see what I ran my half marathon PR in just a minute. For my race pace workouts, I did first a 4-mile effort straight through at half pace. Then I did 2 3-mile efforts at half pace broken up by a 1-mile rest. Then I did another 4 miles straight through at half pace the next week, but for that one I sandwiched it in between a big training week, and I think I did 12 miles total in that run, so it was somewhere in the middle. And my big workout for this half was 6 miles straight through at half pace within a 16-mile long run. So that was 4 miles warm up, 6 at half pace, 6 at cool down, and I did all of those runs in the Nike Vaporfly 2. These are, I think, my favorite speed day, race day super shoe right now. They just work for my foot. The foam is soft, but also bouncy, and with the plate, when you get these things warmed up, I just feel like I'm in the zone and I don't even feel them on my foot, which I can't say about the Endorphin Pro 3. When I have those on, because they're a bit chunkier and have more stack, I can definitely notice that I'm running with something on my foot. The stack on these is a bit less and I feel more connected to the ground, which on race day is exactly what I want. Something interesting to note about these is I actually had my worst race ever in these last October, this exact pair. And so that was a half marathon out in the mountains called Black Bear Half Marathon in Hendersonville, North Carolina. And I was in second place for that. There was nobody around me, and it was an out and back course with this one area where you had to loop back and do 2 loops on the middle section. And I knew that was coming, but I turned around in the wrong spot. So I just got way off course and DNF, did not finish, got disqualified. That was not fun. So I was super upset, and I was like, these are bad luck shoes. I'm never racing in them again. I also, 3 weeks after that, ran a workout in these, and afterwards got super sick, was throwing up for the whole weekend. So I was like, all right, these are just no good. They have no mojo, no juice. I didn't touch them for probably 4 months, threw them in the bottom of my shoe rack, didn't even look at them. And then a few months ago, I decided to just bring them out. It was after the craft beer half marathon I did in April. I was like, you know what, let me bring out the Vaporflies again. I ran an 8-mile marathon pace run just for fun in them. They felt good, so I slowly started incorporating them back into my training, and they're what I was riding throughout this whole cycle for all of my race pace workouts. They were just, you know, the hot hand in basketball. When someone's hitting the threes, you say, okay, ride the hot hand, just keep passing it to them. And so I just kept dishing looks to the Vaporfly, and it kept serving, and they served me well on race day. So these are no longer my bad luck shoes. I renamed them the Exercising Demons. And I think the demons were certainly exercised with my first ever overall win at the half marathon and my new PB. Alright, so after the race, what do we gotta do? We gotta recover. These are my go-to recovery shoes in the past probably 2 to 3 weeks. I didn't ride them a lot during the bulk of training, but as I got into tapering and really hammering some workouts in the last few weeks before the race, I wanted just something super protective for my foot. So this is what I used on those runs, the Asics Gel-Nimbus 25. I love the way that these feel when I'm trying to just take it slow. Massive stack of cushion on the heel. I think it's 41.5 millimeters on here, and then they have this nice rocker in the front, so it just has you slide along well. My one complaint of these is that the rubber they use in the forefoot is super loud and plasticky for some reason. I don't know why it's different than other running shoes, but that's what it sounds like when I'm running along in my neighborhood. So great shoes, super comfortable. The upper is padded as everything. It's like running with Tupperware strapped to my feet. Now, I'm spoiled, so I love to have a rainy day shoe in my rotation as well. So for any of those long runs where, you know, I'm checking the weather Friday night and it's 100% chance of rain at 8 a.m. on Saturday morning, instead of just being like, oh, I'm screwed, I got these bad boys, which are the Saucony Triumph 20 Runshield. And it's not Gore-Tex covering this upper here, but it's a material that is kind of like that. It's not as waterproof, but it's water resistant. So as I'm running along in puddles and in the rain, these will keep my feet dry. They're also with this Power Run Plus cushioning in the midsole. Extremely comfortable. They're soft, they're bouncy, but they can pick up the pace a little bit, not too much. So they're really good for those long runs where I'm going to be out there for 2 hours and don't want to come home with soaking wet feet that will lead me to eventually needing to cut my toes off or something like that.